No sense of recognition of failure, and Bush's swagger is still there. So
it still is. That's very true.
And Bush's second inaugural address, where he talked about ending tyranny all over the world, except at home, that was most disconcerting because it shows that he's even more full of babble than he was 4 years ago.
What about the Patriot Act? What about that? What are your impressions there?
Well, it's almost all of it's unnecessary. There were a few minor things that were updating some of the law that could easily be preserved aside from that. But it gives the government far too broad a right to meddle in our lives, and the government's abusing this, and the government really won't tell us how it's being used. Very good reasons not to trust the government.
What are some examples there?
What the Patriot Act does is authorize the carnivore email wiretapping system. The FBI can go to a secret court, so-called court, get a warrant to do a wiretap of one person, their email, go into the internet service provider, force that company to attach a black box to their system, and an FBI agent needs to only push a single button on that box to automatically copy all the email of all the customers who use that internet service.
Wow.
So the FBI can get a search warrant for one person, and they can vacuum up 100,000 people's email. That's rather expansive.
That's amazing. So what other abuses does this bring?
It makes it much easier for the government to do secret searches of people's homes and businesses.
And never inform you.
You know, there are provisions that a person would be informed later. But it's also possible to get the later extended. So, and there's a lot of other things the government's doing surveillance-wise that would raise concerns about where they're going. So,
are these powers ever going to be repealed?
It's possible that some of them could be trimmed or even repealed. Yeah. I mean, I'm not holding my breath, but if there's enough of backlash. There are some groups that have done some good work. Former Congressman Bob Barr has done great work on this. So, there might be some progress.
It seems very difficult once we lose certain freedoms, once we lose certain restrictions on the government, to ever get them back.
You're right. It's sad. It's frustrating.
It's much more difficult to roll back the government than it is to stop it from rolling forward.
Yes, it's very frustrating.
Or back into the past.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
So, what do you do? How often do you speak on this? Do you speak?
I probably speak about once a month at this point.
Once a month?
But I'm writing. My writing is what I do primarily.
Right. So that's basically how you reach most people, is through writing.
Writing or talk radio or stuff like that, or shows like this. So.
Do you speak at universities or college campuses
Sometimes,
at all?
Sure.
What has been the reaction when you go there?
Mixed. I mean, sometimes people like it very much. Some people like it. Some people hate it. So, but that's the same reaction I get from libertarian crowds at times. Gave a talk at a semi-libertarian group in New York and on the war on terrorism, and they were about ready to lynch me. So.
Really?
Oh yeah, they were angry.
Wow. What about on college campuses? What have people said there, or have there been,
Well, I spoke at Portland State University in late 2003, and there were a bunch of leftists who basically liked what I said very much, and some hardcore conservatives who hated what I said. So it's hard to please everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you live? You live in...
I live in Maryland.
You live in Maryland?
Yeah.
Are you married?
Yes.
Kids?
No.
No?
No.
Because you're an interesting guy. After I should have asked you that when you started out.
Oh, that's
then
fine.
After you're talking, it's kind of like, hey, who is this guy? Where's he from? How did you start out in this field of writing? I mean, did you...
Well, at the time around the time I turned 18, I decided I wanted to be a writer. So I started writing. Eventually, it started to sell, so I kept writing.
Have you always been writing about politics or
no,
other subjects?
Politics came to. I tried doing some other things at first, and then came to politics, and been doing it for, I guess, 25, 26, 27 years. So it's fun sometimes.
It's fun. It's fun sometimes.
Yeah.
So how did you first what was the first place you really were published speaking on political matters?
Oh, I did a piece for the Freeman back in '77. on liberty versus equality. Did a piece for the Boston Globe the following year. Did a satire for the New York Times in 1979 on the failure of the all-volunteer Congress. That was a fun piece.
Yeah? What was it about?
Well, it was a time when many congressmen were talking about the failure of the all-volunteer army. And what I did is take the same standards and showed how the all-volunteer Congress was also a failure, and how we might do better if we just drafted people at random, that they might be more sober or more honest.
I think that's probably very true. I'd like to thank you for coming out.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Do you have a people want to find the writing? You can find them on the web?
Yeah, jimbovard.com.
Okay. If you'd like to find any more information about the Libertarian Party, you can join us at www.lp.org, or you can give us a call toll-free at 1-800-ELECT-US, and we'll send you out a free packet of information. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Libertarian Alternative. Hi, today we're talking here with Elizabeth Brierly at the San Diego convention of the San Diego Libertarian Party, and that's why you hear the noise in the background of the people speaking. And what we'll be talking about today with Elizabeth Brierly. Now you edit the newsletter of the Libertarian Party as well, don't you?
That's right, Mark. I am the editor of California Freedom, which is the monthly newspaper for the Libertarian Party of California.
And you also you posed in a calendar called the Ladies of Liberty calendar.
I did. This was a fundraising opportunity for the women of the Libertarian Party to take off their business suits that they normally wear at the Libertarian Party conventions and when they're on the stump as candidates, and put on something more glamorous and pose in some glamour 1940s style movie poster type photographs, and put together a calendar that's been selling pretty well as an alternative to the normal
and have some fun
type of fundraisers. That's right. It was a lot of fun to do the calendar.
And now the calendar before that, though, had pictures of women in bathing suits and lingerie.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
You'd have to talk to the calendar.
I have to talk to Rachel Mills about that. And now, what about people that say these kind of things objectify women and things like that?
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. They're free to have that opinion. I tend to only be a feminist so long as I'm also, to the same degree that I'm also a masculist or masculinist.
What's that?
I believe in the equal opportunity for both men and women. And men and women may make different choices throughout their lives, and that any of the so-called salary differences or whatever are most likely a result of different choices that people have made, and not some kind of oppression of women. So the women in this calendar don't feel very oppressed.
So maybe they'll make a Men of Liberty calendar or something like that.
That would be wonderful.
Would you buy it?
Absolutely.
Okay, well I guess if there's a market for it, someone will probably have to make it.
Yes.
And there's a lot of men in the Libertarian Party too.
That is a fair statement.
Has this raised a lot of money, or have people come up to you at conventions and say, hey, you're Miss August or something like that?
Well, I'm Miss March of 2005, so the 2004 calendar still has some value left in it at the time of this interview. And I pretty much have had to sort of proactively promote selling the calendar. I haven't so much had people ask me for it. It could have been maybe promoted a little bit more, but I've done it sort of on my own. Each of the ladies in the calendar took responsibility for her own sales to fund her own local party activities.
So this is women who are candidates for the Libertarian Party. Here I have this calendar. This raises money for their campaign.
Right, either candidates for their own campaign or for other campaigns of people in their local party. Or
I'd like to thank you, Elizabeth,
You're welcome,
for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
To speak with us today. Thank you very much.
You're
It's
welcome.
been wonderful.
It's been a pleasure.